No. 2 letters, 1 syllable. A word so simple, yet for many of us, it's the hardest sentence to say. But what if I told you that no is a complete sentence? And learning to use it might be the most crucial act of self-care you can engage in. Now, that might sound a little dramatic. I'm not suggesting you start shutting down every request that comes your way. The true essence of this idea isn't about becoming negative or uncooperative. It's about reclaiming your power. It's about understanding that you have the right to your own time, energy, and well-being, and you don't need to provide a lengthy, apologetic explanation for protecting them. It's about recognizing that setting boundaries is a vital component of a healthy, balanced life. So, why is this simple word so difficult for us? Why do our palms sweat and our hearts race at the thought of turning someone down? What's happening in our minds that makes us feel so guilty for protecting our own limits? Let's dive into the psychology behind the power and the difficulty of saying no. First, our struggle with no often begins with a deep-seated, universal human need, the need to belong. We are social creatures, hardwired to seek acceptance and avoid rejection. This can be traced back to our evolutionary past, where being part of a group was essential for survival. Think about it from a psychological perspective. Many of us grow up with conditional love. As children, we might have learned that being good, quiet, and obedient earned us praise and affection from our caregivers. Speaking up, disagreeing, or refusing a request might have led to disappointment, scolding, or even the withdrawal of affection. This pattern can create a powerful, often unconscious belief. My worth is tied to how much I do for others. To be loved, I must be agreeable. Let's look at a common, everyday example. Your boss asks you to take on another project, even though your plate is already overflowing. The deadline is tight, and you know it will mean working late all week. Your immediate internal reaction is a resounding no. You feel overwhelmed, stressed, and even a little resentful. But what comes out of your mouth? Sure, no problem. Why? Because you fear that saying no will make you seem like you're not a team player, that it could impact your next performance review, or that your boss will be disappointed in you. This fear of disapproval often overrides our own genuine needs and capacity. We prioritize the other person's potential reaction over our own definite well-being. It's not your job to be everything to everyone. Your only job is to be true to yourself. Secondly, many of us are conflict avoidant. We go to great lengths to keep the peace, even if it means sacrificing our own. The thought of an argument, a tense conversation, or even just seeing the disappointment on someone's face can be incredibly uncomfortable. So we say yes to avoid that discomfort. This is often a learned behavior. Perhaps you grew up in a household where disagreements were loud and scary, so you learned to stay quiet and agreeable to feel safe. This is a trauma response that some researchers call fawning, where people-pleasing is used to de-escalate conflicts and gain approval. Imagine this scenario. A close friend asks you to help them move on a Saturday. You've had a grueling week and were desperately looking forward to a day of rest and recharging. You know you're physically and emotionally drained, but you also know your friend is counting on you. The thought of saying no brings up a wave of guilt. You picture their disappointed face, you imagine them struggling without you, and you feel a sense of obligation. So, you ignore your exhaustion and agree to help. You've avoided a potentially awkward conversation, but at what cost? You've put their needs so far ahead of your own that you've erased your own from the equation. When you consistently say yes to others, you are often saying no to yourself. Thirdly, our society often equates being nice and helpful with being a good person. We are socialized to be accommodating, especially women, who are often taught to prioritize the needs of others. Saying no can feel selfish because it goes against this ingrained cultural narrative. We worry that setting a boundary will make us seem unkind, uncaring, or unhelpful. This creates a significant internal conflict. Our desire to be a good person, as defined by societal expectations, clashes with our genuine need for self-preservation. This is where assertiveness comes in. Assertiveness is not the same as aggression. Aggression is about getting your way at the expense of others, while passivity is about letting others get their way at your expense. Assertiveness is the healthy middle ground, standing up for your own rights and needs, while also respecting the rights and needs of others. Consider this. A family member asks to borrow a significant amount of money. You're not comfortable with it for various reasons. Perhaps you're saving for something important, or you're worried it will strain the relationship. The good person script in your head screams, "You have to help family." But the assertive, self-respecting part of you knows this isn't the right decision for you. An assertive response might sound like, "I care about you a lot, and I understand this is important, but I'm not able to lend you that money right now." It's honest, direct, and respectful, without being aggressive or passive. You can be a good person with a good heart and still say no. So, how do we break free from this cycle of guilt and obligation? It starts with a fundamental shift in mindset. We need to reframe no not as an act of rejection, but as an act of self-respect. It's about understanding that your well-being is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Saying no when you're stretched thin isn't selfish. It's essential self-care that prevents burnout and resentment. Every time you honor your limits, you're sending a powerful message to yourself: I matter. This builds self-esteem and self-confidence. The relationship between assertiveness and self-esteem is reciprocal. The more you act in alignment with your needs, the more your self-worth grows, and the easier it becomes to continue doing so. It's also crucial to realize that the catastrophic consequences we imagine when we say no rarely come true. The world doesn't fall apart. True friends and respectful colleagues will understand. And if someone reacts poorly to you, setting a healthy boundary, that reaction is information. It tells you about their expectations of you, not about your worth as a person. They want you to live the life they expect, not the life you were meant to live. Ultimately, learning to say no is about more than just managing your time and energy. It's about living an authentic life. It's about having the courage to align your actions with your values, needs, and priorities. Researcher Vanessa Patrick calls this an empowered refusal, a way of saying no that is firm, respectful, and rooted in a deep understanding of your own self-worth. Saying no creates space in your life. It creates space for rest, for your passions, for the people and projects that truly light you up. It allows you to say a genuine, enthusiastic yes to the things that matter most. It transforms your relationships from being based on obligation to being based on authentic connection and mutual respect. So, the next time you feel that automatic yes rising in your throat when you mean no, I want you to pause. Take a breath. Remember that no is a complete sentence. And it is a sentence of power, of self-respect, and of profound self-care. Have you ever struggled with saying no? What's one small no you could practice this week? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, make sure to follow for more insights into the psychology of a well-lived life.